Sibling fights can feel like the fastest way to drain your energy. One minute your kids are playing, and the next minute someone is screaming, someone is crying, and someone is swinging their hand. And you're standing there thinking, how did this explode so fast? If this is your daily reality, you're not alone. And most importantly, you're not failing. You're dealing with a very normal family dynamic that just needs better tools. Here's the truth. Sibling fights aren't always about the toy, the seat, or the remote. Those are just the surface issues. What's really happening underneath is much deeper. Kids fight when they feel disrespected, powerless, treated unfairly, unseen, or crowded. They fight when they don't have words to express their need. They fight when their emotions rise faster than their language. And when they don't know how to say that they need space or that felt unfair, they show it through grabbing, yelling, pushing, or blaming. In this video, I'm going to give you 3 simple tools to coach conflict resolution in the moment. These tools help you stop fights faster, reduce escalation, and teach your kids skills that they will use for life. The goal is not to eliminate the conflict completely. The goal is fewer fights, shorter fights, safer fights, and better repair after the fight. And that's what progress looks like in real parenting. You're not aiming for perfection, you're aiming for skill. The 3 tools are simple. First is you stop the escalation. Second, you name the real need underneath the fight. And third, you coach the next move to your child so your child learns what to do instead next time. If you learn these 3 steps and repeat them consistently, sibling fights stop feeling like chaos and they start becoming teachable moments. But before I break down those tools, I want to tell you something really important. Most parents make one common mistake during sibling fights that actually makes the fight worse. It's not because you're doing anything wrong. It's because no one taught us a better way. I'll tell you what it is soon and what to do instead. So let's start with our first tool. When sibling fights escalate, your first job is not to investigate. Your first job is safety. Most parents rush in and ask questions like, who started it, or what happened, or what did you do, or why did you do that? But when kids are in fight mode, those questions don't calm them down. They actually make them more defensive. The fight gets louder because now both the kids are trying to prove their point. They start talking over each other, they start blaming, and the energy in the room rises. So the first tool is to stop escalation with calm leadership. You step in quickly and you get physically between them if needed. You block the hitting, you separate them. You remove any object that could create danger. And you use very short, clear sentences. You say, I won't let you hit. Or you say, back up, I am here. Your tone matters more than your words. Your calm matters more than your logic. Because in that moment, your child's nervous system is overwhelmed. And your calm presence is what brings the temperature down. This part is really important. If you're calm, it doesn't mean you're passive. It doesn't mean you're letting things slide. It means that you're in control and you're leading. Calm means you're showing your child what emotional regulation looks like in real life. Your kids don't learn regulation from lectures. They learn it from what you model for them in the moment. Once the situation is physically safe, you move to tool number 2. This is where you name the real need behind the fight or underneath the fight. Most parents jump straight to blame or punishment, but what children need first is to feel seen. They need to feel like they matter. They need to feel like their feelings are not invisible. And when you name the need, you're giving them that sense of emotional safety. So instead of saying, stop fighting, you can say something like, you both want the same thing, or you both want to be heard, or you both look upset. This one step reduces the escalation because it removes the fight over who is right and who is wrong. It reminds your children that you're not choosing sides. You're not here to crown a winner. You're here to guide them through conflict safety. This is especially important with older kids and teens because they react strongly to the feeling of being judged. When they feel judged, they fight harder. They defend themselves. They shut down. They get sarcastic or they explode. But when a child feels respected, they soften. They are more open to coaching. They are more willing to listen. And that is the point. Respect creates cooperation and judgment creates resistance. Now we move on to tool number 3, which is teaching them what to do instead. This is the part that creates long-term change because stopping a fight is not the same as teaching the skills. Most of us as parents are good at stopping the fights, but the same fights keep happening over and over again. That's because kids don't automatically know what to do differently next time. They need language and scripts and they need replacement behaviors. So here's the simple formula. Next time it happens, you say, you feel like this, and next time, say like this. That's it. You keep it short and clear. For example, if your child grabbed a toy, you say, you wanted the toy. So next time, you say, can I have a turn? If your child hit, say you were upset. Next time, say stop, I need space. If your child is whining or yelling for attention, tell them that they could say, Mom, I need help. This works because you're not just stopping the behavior, you're teaching your child to communicate their needs. Imagine your younger child takes a toy and your older child shoves them. You step in and say, Stop, I won't let you push. So, first step is you separate them. Then you name the need. You say, you both want the same toy. Then step number 3 is you coach the next move. So you look at the younger child and tell them, next time if it happens, ask for your turn. And you can tell your older brother, can I have a turn? Then you look at the older child and tell them that if they're not done, they can say, I'm not done yet. You can have it after. This is how you build conflict resolution skill, not by punishing them, but by coaching them the language they need to handle it better. Now, let's talk about one mistake that makes sibling fights worse. It's playing the judge, trying to decide who's right and who's wrong in the heat of the moment. It's when you start asking who started it, who's right, who's wrong, and suddenly your home becomes a courtroom. It fuels escalation because kids become invested in proving their innocence. The better approach is to become a coach instead of a judge. So you can say, I'm not solving the mystery, I'm not picking sides. I'm helping you solve it safely. This shifts the energy immediately and it stops the fight from turning into a debate and brings it back to skill building. Because when you become a judge, your kids become lawyers. They stop focusing on solving the problem. They start focusing on winning your approval. They argue harder, they interrupt more, they exaggerate, they blame, and the fight becomes bigger than it was originally. Now let's talk about the fights that escalate the fastest. These usually happen during predictable times, before dinner, at bedtime, during transitions, when screen time ends, when kids are hungry, tired, overstimulated. And here's the thing, when you notice patterns like this, you just don't need better reactions, you need prevention strategies. Prevention doesn't mean you can control everything, it just means you're being smart. It means you step in sooner before the explosion. It means you stay closer during those high risk moments. It means you don't leave 2 kids to work it out when you already know their brains are tired and their bodies are overstimulated. So your presence is not micromanaging at that time, your presence is supporting them. One of the simplest prevention tools is taking turn system. Most fights are about access to toys, access to screen, access to attention, access to space. So you create a structure. This reduces arguing because the rule becomes the decision maker. Another prevention tool is teaching your kids the personal space rule. Many sibling fights are really about one child feeling invaded. So you teach a simple family rule. If one says space, the other steps back. Then you coach the words. You teach your child to say, stop, I need space. This works well for sensitive kids and for older kids as well, because personal space becomes a boundary that is respected. Now you might be thinking, but what if I have one kid who's always the one escalating? What if one child is always the hitter, the yeller, the one who goes too far? That's a real concern. And in a moment, I'm going to show you exactly what to do without labeling that child as the problem. Let's talk about that child for a moment. The child who escalates quickly is not always the bad kid. Most of the time, that's the child who's missing the skills. They may struggle with impulse control. They may have low frustration tolerance. They may get overwhelmed easily or may feel insecure. They may not know how to tolerate disappointment. And when they don't have skills, they use force. So goal is not to shame them. The goal is to coach them earlier. You stay close during the high risk moment and you reduce the opportunities for escalation. You teach them replacement behavior before the fight starts and you keep the boundary firm. Sibling fights that escalate fast do not mean you're failing. It just means that your kids are still learning how to handle conflict, frustration, and boundaries. And now you have the tools, you stop the escalation, you name the need, and you coach the next move. You avoid becoming the judge, you become the coach. If this video helped you, like, subscribe, and share with other parents.